Welcome to the ResearchWorks podcast, broadcasting live from the Oceania Academy of Cerebral Palsy and Other Childhood Onset Disabilities Conference 2026 in the beautiful city of Hobart, Australia. Join Dr. Postol and the ResearchWorks team as we bring you an exclusive series of interviews with visionary keynote speakers and leading presenters, captured right here amid the groundbreaking discussions and innovations shaping the future of disability research and care.
Welcome back, everyone. We are back at Oceania 2026. I'm getting better at saying that. Sometimes I say it wrong, but you'll forgive me for that. We're back at the conference site. We're at afternoon tea break now. Everyone's come on out. I can see all those yummy biscuits over there, and I'm just hoping someone will save something for me. But to keep us going through this afternoon tea time, we have a bit of a fan of the show on the pod. Is that a good way to describe you?
Yeah, fangirl, yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the pod, Nicola Postol. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did I say your surname correctly?
You did.
Oh, good.
Yeah, which is rare.
Is it rare?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been known to butcher people's names, but thank you very much. It's very kind. I'm glad I said it correctly. How does it feel to be on this side of the mic rather than listening to it on the other side? How is it?
Somewhat intimidating. I think I was in the, the Spotify review of your year. I think this was my top podcast. So, yeah, it is a little intimidating. I am a long-time listener.
Well, thank you for listening. And that's why we do this podcast. It's for our fellow clinicians and colleagues that are all over the world, really, and just to connect through an area of interest. And now it's our turn to talk to you about an area of interest. And I'm very keen to talk to you about this. When I saw the titles, I mean, you've got a few things going on at this conference, don't you?
Yep.
You had some pre-conference stuff and you've got some free papers and posters. So I just wanted to hone in on two. Normally I talk to people about one article, but for you, I thought, there's two here that are quite related and I want to know more about.
Yep.
So let me read through the titles first, and I'm going to launch into some questions for you, Nicola. So the first one is called Stepping Forward. Overground exoskeletons can improve gait and balance in children with cerebral palsy. This is a systematic review and a meta-analysis. Gosh, it's a lot of work doing those ones, eh?
Yeah.
And the second one is, wow, you're a sucker for pain. More than movement, walking frames and non-gross motor development in children with cerebral palsy. Another systematic review.
Yep.
Right. So, I appreciate people who are willing to do systematic reviews because they're a lot of work.
They are.
But they're really important to be able to bring together an area that a lot of us are interested in. It might be a booming area of literature lately, and you kind of just want to get a head around about what is going on right now. But I'll ask the first crazy question. Why did you embark on doing two systematic reviews, and what was the timeline for that?
They overlapped massively because they are complementary. So I started, I've worked in this area of sort of robotic technology for a while now. And so I when I joined CPA Research Institute, I planned to do a systematic review on the current evidence for overground robotics for people with CP. And in my interactions with some of the researchers around the world who are working in this space, heard some anecdotal information about the other benefits beyond gross motor function that they were seeing with children with quite significant support needs with CP using their technology. And, things like improved communication and improved fine motor skill and improved interaction with their families.
Yeah.
And so it sort of led me down the path of trying to find whether there was much in the way of evidence about the non-motor benefits of being able to move around for people with CP. And so, they've been completed concurrently and they complement each other, but they're quite different.
They do, really. And I think that's just so wonderful. We're hearing that more and more. I mean, we've done some research studies where we do add the qualitative component, which is so lovely. And for a numbers person, man, I'm loving qualitative. Ash Thornton, that was for you. We love a good qualitative component because it helps us to actually understand the experience. There's no other way to understand that. And it's the non-motor benefits that we're hearing so much more. Like the motor, you kind of go, well, of course, task specificity.
It's a no-brainer.
There's task specificity in being upright, isn't there? And our body the design of it from a gravity perspective, when you think about digestion, respiratory, it all comes together. So I love that you've done this. So let's tackle the first one on stepping forward, overground exoskeletons. What are overground exoskeletons? How do you define that?
Yep. So I would say there's three main categories of exoskeletons. There's the ones that are paired with a treadmill. Examples of that would be the Locomat. There's end effector devices, which I like to compare to elliptical machines, where you've got your feet locked in, but your hips and knees are free. And then the overground devices are ones that can be used overground with or without body weight support treadmill training, depending on the setup of the device. And so, they can be taken into different environments in theory.
Right. Okay. So there's a number of different devices that are around now. Like, when did these devices start to come on the market for commercial use?
It's been about 15 years. So there's the backstory to this, I guess, is that there's been huge amounts of work done in this space in the military and in manufacturing for a very long time, for over 60 years. But in terms of rehabilitation technology and the overground devices, it's really the last 15 years. And really for the biggest body of evidence at the moment is for people with stroke, spinal cord injury and MS. And really it's emerging for people with CP.
Right. Okay. So nice time to do it now to see what is actually there. I'm not expecting you to remember your numbers, but I do have them written here. So you found 22 studies, papers included in this review. It's actually not bad.
Yeah, when we wrote that abstract, that was before it was quite finished.
Gosh, you got more.
It's 21.
21. Okay, 21. And participant-wise, what did that equate to in total?
241 participants, only 7 of whom are adults. So we actually kept the search strategy wide enough to capture the whole lifespan because it is such an emerging field. But interestingly, despite that, the majority of the cohort is children.
Interesting. So the age range then?
The age range is, I think it was 3 to 40, but the average age is around 9.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
Isn't it? Because you often think about these exoskeletons and size. It's quite difficult to get them small enough. It's often the perception of it because of batteries and things, limbs and things like that. But I'm sure we'll get into that. Okay. So, all right. So you included 9 devices.
There's 9 devices,
Right. Do you mind giving us a bit of an overview of what they are? Do you remember them all?
Oh, God, now I've got to remember all the names. I guess to break it down into categories, there's 2 devices that only power the ankle.
Okay.
One's called the Relink Ankh and one's called the Biomotum Spark. And then there's 7 devices that are bilateral for the lower limb. The Howl, Angel Legs, CP Walker, which actually doesn't, you can't find any information on that anymore. The Atlas 2030, the Trexo, and now I'm struggling to remember the rest.
So what do they actually do? Like the ones with the ankle, what does that look like? And
it's
what
really
sort of
like a powered AFO.
A powered AFO, right.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it.
So it can sense where they are in the gait cycle and help with push-off and dorsiflexions. It's active, so it would, Do all the devices, do they do a certain amount for the person? Can the person then train and improve their motor skills and take over? Or are they all sort of like it does it for them?
No, it's a mixture. So there's a few devices out there which purely do the movement for the person and there's no human interaction at all. And then there's a range of devices that can offer a graded removal of support, I guess. So they can be fully supportive and then you can remove that support as a person becomes capable or not.
Right.
You can choose not to.
And were any of these devices in that category?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. It's good to know what kinds of things are out there. Okay, fabulous.
And a couple of them offer resistance as well. So from a training perspective, there are some that offer some resistance.
Right. So in some instances used as like an assistive technology device that helps them for day-to-day activities. And then the others can be a training device as well.
Yeah, and I think the thing is at the moment that a lot of these devices are being used in both ways.
That makes it difficult to tease out the data.
It is difficult. Yeah.
Yes.
So we purposefully, with the systematic review, captured the data that was pertaining to people moving and doing their activities out of the device. So whilst they had a block of intervention with the device, the measures that we've used are when they're not in it.
So looking at the training effect,
100%.
not the orthotic effect.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous. Okay, so what did you find? Were there commonalities and outcome measures that were being used?
Oh my gosh. I can't remember the exact number of outcome measures, but it's over 20.
It's a problem, isn't it?
It's over 20.
Yeah.
But we wanted that, this is an emerging field. We really kept that as broad as possible to really try and see what's out there at the moment.
What are we measuring? What do we think it's doing?
Yeah. So the most common measures, probably not surprisingly, were the GMFM 6-minute walk, 10-meter walk.
Good.
Pediatric balance scale.
Okay.
They were the main ones. And then there was a real range of other ones. A few studies measured spasticity, some measured range of motion. Participant experience was measured in a handful of papers, not very often.
In a qualitative way or through surveys?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Primarily in a survey form.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, standardization of measures is definitely an issue.
Sure.
But yeah, it's giving a broad perspective of what is out there at the moment.
Yes.
But yeah, in terms of synthesizing the information and being able to make any recommendations, we're really still looking at gait parameters, and I'm really interested in potential benefit far beyond that. Like, I think, as physiotherapists, we focus a lot on gross motor function, but obviously as to the second systematic review, there's so much more to being able to move than gross motor function.
Yeah. But, it is, like you said, though, it's important to have an understanding of its efficacy within a study setting or its effectiveness, right?
100%.
It's to kind of go, okay, there's now a proof of concept here that it can actually affect a change.
Yes.
And now where to from that?
Yes.
But it's good to hear that you had some common outcome measures as well, which is great to hear. Yeah, it's really helpful. So what did that look like in terms of the results?
We had statistically significant and clinically meaningful findings which met the MCID for gross motor function, GMFM-E.
Okay.
Endurance, speed, and
endurance
balance.
On 6 minute?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Balance,
speed
pediatric.
and balance.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But that was from that 21 studies. There was actually only 5 studies that were either controlled or crossover to be able to make those robotic versus conventional comparisons.
I see.
There is further meta-analysis in the review, which is pre-post as well, to give a bit of an insight into what controlled studies might look like if we evaluated them that way as well. So yeah. But it's still very much emerging.
It is very much emerging, but how interesting to get some data like that already, which is fabulous. So what will be your main take home with regards to the use of these overground exoskeletons? Because whilst we're still waiting for more results, we've got something at the moment
100%.
to have a bit of an idea of a bit of a recommendation we can start to make, because this technology's out there.
100%. And there's more and more coming.
Sure.
There's new devices getting TGA approval all the time. So it's happening. I would say that for those outcomes we just mentioned, that there is evidence to support the use of this technology for a block of intervention to improve those outcomes for, I would say, children with CP, because I think with that cohort only including 7 adults, it's hard for us to extrapolate that beyond children.
Of course.
One of the issues is that we don't know about sustained benefit because very few of the studies had a follow-up period. And I think that's another thing that's obviously a bit challenging to know. Yes, we saw benefit of robotic over conventional therapy, but is it sustained? Does it matter down the track? So that's one issue, I guess. And then the other issue is that, there's a lot of promising information about the broader range of outcome measures, but we really can't make any concrete recommendations about that yet.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of an idea? I mean, I gather it's probably a huge range. How long people use the devices for? Is there training time? What was that kind of dosage?
And I don't know whether this is probably not that scientific, but I took a median across all the all the ranges of intervention. So the median was 45-minute sessions for 12 weeks, and I think the average was about 20 sessions. Yeah,
okay,
so
bit of an idea.
That's a lie. I just made that up. It's 45 minutes across 6 weeks for 12 sessions. I just totally made that. No, I didn't make it up. I just forgot.
Okay. That's a bit of an idea of dosage. Okay.
Yeah, rough idea.
something there, but still evolving.
Oh, definitely.
All right. And I think it's an important point when we're talking about exoskeletons. I suppose one of the things that I've always, and I spoke about with Stacey Dusing this morning as well, actually, and the the lasting memories I have of a conference I went to in Europe, EACD Paris, was when Diane Damiano stood up and said, look, when it comes to robotics, you've got to be very thoughtful about what you're actually doing. Is it doing too much? Because then that just takes over. It's facilitating everything versus what's being trained. And I love that in your review, you were kind of really looking at the training effect of it, and that the devices weren't taking over devices. They were training. There was a therapeutic effect that we're looking at for it. And that's really important to know.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's an area of, I guess, complication in this space that I think we do have. There are some devices out there that show a lot of promise in terms of that long-term assistance and maybe giving children an opportunity to get around their world independently, interact with their humans that they love, their environment. And, you know, we can't take that away. Like, that's amazing. But in terms of the rehab effect and being involved in a program of rehab, it's different. I think so. It's a very different thing. And I think this world is still so new that we're seeing a lot of research that is not necessarily quite defining which one it's trying to be. And I think in terms of manufacturing as well, a lot of tech companies that are potentially trying to do too many things and not really defining the core business for that device.
But man, I think there's a lot of exciting things that are out there when you're looking at tech forums and developing robots to do my housework, which I would
love that.
I'm pretty pleased about that idea, actually. I already started thinking about all the free time I might have. I'm like, will it mow the lawn? Will it pick up my dog poop as well so I don't have to do it? And I'm like, and we're not even there yet. And I'm getting excited by the prospect. But if you can have a robot that has the right battery power and that can help to give people autonomy to move about, you think about the possibilities, then that becomes a vehicle for mobility, not a rehab tool. There's different things that you can look at, right? So it's not demonizing one and saying one or the other.
Exactly.
It's so important to be really clear about the goal and what the device is for.
And we're seeing that in the adult space in spinal cord injury. You know, that's definitely where a huge amount of the work has been done. And those community access devices are a lot further along.
That's right. Wonderful. Step over to the side now. Let's do the other systematic review that you embarked on at the same time. You wonderful woman. I knew you did that. More than movement, walking frames and non-gross motor development in children with CP. Okay. Getting up and walking in a walking frame. Why should we do that? I mean, I'm already a convert, but
you know, I've often wondered whether I shouldn't have been a physio. I should maybe have been an OT because I think it is so crucial for us to look at why do we actually move. And I think, you know, you sort of reflect on it and think actually there's no time when you move just for the sake of it.
That's right.
Even if you go for a walk, there's a purpose to that. It's about your well-being. You know, it's not just
we can bring that into physio.
We're really holistic humans.
That's right.
It's
so important, isn't it? Because looking at mobility, look, if Marissa were here in this podcast episode, she'd be jumping in right now with getting kids up, getting them moving, giving them autonomy. Autonomy is the word, right? And then from there, there's agency.
100%.
And we can't underestimate what that means. And it doesn't matter how you present, GMFCS level, that is still fundamental to your rights as a human. And I know that you talk about the on-time mobility framework within the context of this as well. Do you mind just laying down that context for our listeners now?
Well, we know, like, you know, there's been a lot of focus on the concept of on-time mobility in the last little while in the pediatric world. And I think I love that idea that, you know, we're not waiting for a child to necessarily start to do something. We're trying to intervene when a typically developing child would be trying to do that, you know, activity. And I think it's a great framework to base a lot of what we try and do on. And certainly when you think about how much happens in those formative years as a child and the language explosion when children start interacting with their world, you know, however it is they're getting around. And, you know, you see it with typically developing children. So why would we not want that for
and all the non-motor benefits, right? When we talk about being upright, we're thinking about and they're crucial. You're right. Why wouldn't we want this for our children? Why would we want them to struggle with continuing to develop crawling, because that should be coming before walking, when that is so difficult?
It's hard work.
You can support them in a walker, and it's not one or the other. It can be right?
Yep.
So anyway, you'll get me going on that one. So Marissa, I was just channeling you there as well, because I need to want to say it. So in this systematic review, what did you seek to find? What were your parameters? Yeah.
We really were looking for outcomes that were not to do with gross motor function.
Right.
Yeah. So kept it relatively broad again, but really focusing on language, cognition, participation, behavior, thinking about all of those sorts of outcomes.
Fabulous. And how many studies did you find?
There was only, as far as the abstract goes at the moment, there were 6, but we've included 2 more since then, because I've translated 2 papers that weren't in English into English.
Well
so
done.
included that data
Great.
now as well.
Fabulous. That's really good. And so what did you find from that? How many?
So I guess there's 3 themes that are coming out of this. So one is about the impact of using a walker on non-motor development for the person themselves.
Okay.
Then there's the relationship aspect, what that means for their relationships. And then there's the environmental context that's all within. So they're the 3 key sort of areas of focus. And really a strong theme across all of that is participation, unsurprisingly.
Right.
But in terms of the person themselves, it's really about the physical aspects of being upright, being able to, interact at eye level, being able to match movement with other children, being able to make the choice to try new activities because they have that autonomy that you mentioned.
Yes.
And the flow-on effect of that in terms of those relationships with their peers, how their peers see them,
stuff.
And that sort of thing. So it's
how was that reported? Was that mostly qualitative?
Mostly qualitative. There is some quantitative data in there as well, not very much. But mostly qualitative.
Okay. And then when it comes to, so that was on self. The next one was interaction with others.
Yes. And I guess there's some positive and some negative in there in terms of, the decreased burden in some aspects in terms of a child being able to choose to move and being able to interact with their peers and, being able to be as independent as possible. But then sometimes the flip side of that is with the equipment that we have at the moment, a lot of the time a child has to be helped to get into their equipment. And that's obviously something for educators and parents and support people to be doing. And so that could be seen as a negative potentially.
Sure.
But also context for whether it's possible for the child to experience the movement in the walker.
Because we talk about autonomy, but then you still need someone to help you to get into the walker and hopefully maybe have a communication device to be able to communicate that. So there's a few steps before you get to the point of being in the walker at a time where you felt like it. Like how many times have you felt like going for a walk, you waited a little bit too long and I'm done now.
Exactly.
Like there are those things too, right? The time sequence.
Yep.
So what about the environmental aspects?
Yeah, lots of information in the studies about that. So thinking mostly barriers.
Yeah,
really saying that the context of the environment is really crucial to the success of the device itself. So it really makes you very mindful of your assessment process, your prescription process needs to take all of that into account. Where is this piece of equipment going to be used? Have you tested it there? Have you tested it in all the places you want it to use?
Yes.
Does a better, is there a better piece of equipment?
Right.
So obvious things like potholes and confined spaces, the turning circle of some of our devices.
Hallways and walls,
bathrooms was highlighted. Also the need for a child in many cases to be holding their walker for it to move or to be able to move it, and then for example not being able to carry their lunch in the canteen or that sort of thing. So a couple of the studies were focused in schools. So those sorts of observations as well.
And was the GMFCS levels around like did include threes?
They were threes and fours. So they were arranged, but I think about 80 or 90% of the children that were represented in this review were GMSS 3 or 4, which is what you'd probably expect.
Yeah, that's right. It's good that they have the walkers. Were they different descriptions of walkers? Were they quite clear what kind of walkers are being used?
Really.
Yeah,
no.
hands-free.
And actually, that's some of that data is taken out of studies that actually included other devices as well. So, some were using crutches, some were using sticks and wheelchairs. So, but it was taking just the walker information out. Yeah.
We love talking about the positives of using overground walking devices. Were there any negatives for it? I mean, I don't like to think that they're negatives, but obviously we need to face what that might look like as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was definitely mention of the fact that using a walker is humanizing, and that's a really delightful thing.
Beautiful.
But for those children who already feel stigmatized by their condition, there was some suggestion that using a walker can increase that feeling of being stigmatized.
Right.
And that, obviously some children experience bullying and that it can add to that. So I guess, and that would not just be walkers, that would be, a range of equipment. Again, other, AFOs were included in some of the studies and that sort of thing. So
the evaluation of its use has to be really carefully considered in that individual context.
It does.
Yeah. And some kids are ready and some kids aren't.
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah. As much as we want people to be on their feet and be physically active, it still needs to be as a partnership and a decision that's made together.
Yeah, and that was a strong theme as well. There's some work that came out of America that was really looking at, the timing of prescription as well, the access to technology, the funding process, which we know well here. There's so many little factors that go into the timing of prescription, and then have you missed the window for that piece of equipment for that child? The concept of is a higher pool better? And colleagues and I talk about that a lot. That with very small children, we need a pool of higher equipment.
We do, don't we?
Rather than waiting for prescription of devices. So, there's all those sorts of factors as well.
Okay. So what was your main conclusion from this study? If you had to summarize this particular one, how would you summarize it?
Really, that there needs to be careful consideration of the context in which equipment is going to be used in collaboration with the child, their family, their educators, and their clinicians. It's a real, it's a multi-dis approach, including the child, obviously, testing out equipment in a variety of environments. But really, the key message, I guess, is that particularly as physios, we need to think beyond the gross motor benefits of using technology, and really think about that in our evaluation and prescription of equipment, really not ignore those potential benefits, particularly I think for those children that have multiple pieces of equipment, and often we're having to justify, well, they've got that and they've got that, so why do they need that?
Yes.
But obviously there's different benefits to different pieces of equipment, and oftentimes I think, where the family's got capacity and the child has the will, we have a lot of justification for a child having all of those things.
Absolutely. And it's worth the advocacy. It's worth, the whole rigmarole and process of putting it through, because it's important.
Yeah.
So where to now that you've done these 2 systematic reviews? Are these when can we read them? When can we?
One is under review at the moment.
Fabulous. Good. Wonderful.
The other one is just being finished. The robotic one is under review at the moment. Yeah, so fingers crossed.
Yes.
Not too long. With that work, it's sort of, springboarding into other work that we're doing with robotic technology, and
I think I might know what that one is, but that's for another day.
And the focus in the work that I do with this with CPA Research Institute is on mobility technology. So
brilliant.
Yeah, it's just a springboard for that.
Look forward to more collaborations and more work in this space. It's so important, because this is where we're at now. And if we're not staying on top of it, it's going to run away from us, isn't it, when it comes to tech and how we use it? And it's an important piece. Absolutely it is. So thank you for doing the work, for doing the hard yards. Amazing.
I can't just take the credit. Like, it's a lot of people.
I know. I'm very aware. I've supported some systematic reviews, and I'm like, this is hard going, but it does need someone to coordinate it. and pull it together, put all the graphs, get everyone's ratings in by a certain time. That's hard work. That's really hard work. So no, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for joining us in the pod. How was your first experience in the pod? How was it?
Loved it. Yeah.
Do you think your kids will listen to this?
I think they will, but I don't think they will share it with their friends.
Oh, she did a great job, kids. And I hope you can be super proud of what she just did. She's been on a pod that you've never heard of before. But hey, the research and the clinical community know about this super well. Just letting you know, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of downloads of this particular podcast there. It's cool in our area.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
For us nerds, it's real cool.
Well, thank you to all who have listened. I'm so glad you tuned into this. I hope that was as exciting and inspiring for you as it was for me. And I'm so grateful that all this work has been done. And that's the value of conferences, is sharing all this information and getting to share with you through the pod as well. But stay tuned. We've got so much more to come. Talk to you later. Bye.